Hello and welcome to my new art channel. So I've been a painter and photographer for the last 25 years. My name is Austen O'Hanlon. I'm fascinated by landscape photography, but also by abstract landscape painting. The purpose of this channel is to do two things. Is to share my approach and my philosophy towards art and photography, and it's also to help you learn about using in particular ink and mixed media, particularly Chinese ink, and also oil paint with mixed media as well. A lot of my videos will be just making paintings. Sometimes there'll be tips. This video is going to be about two things. So the first thing is about the materials I use. So in terms of my everyday materials, I use a sketchbook that I write and draw in every single day, and I bought a new one for the start of this YouTube channel. This is probably nearly my 100th one of these sketchbooks, and these are Sea White travel journals, and they are absolutely fantastic. I also take a small pencil case around with me wherever I go, and in that pencil case, probably my most used pen ever, which is this Pentel brush pen. It's so versatile. It has pure Japanese ink in it. The nib is absolutely beautiful, as you'll see in a minute, and it's an absolutely brilliant pen. The other thing I use is a fine liner. I use Copic markers to go with that, and then I use different types of Chinese brushes, and also sable brushes as well to do my work. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this: my approach towards my art. So I think it is really, really important that you are able to define what it is that you want your art to be in terms of your personal approach to your art, and how you want to, what image and what message you want to convey. I'm a big believer in using my instinct in photography and art. I used to paint lots of very kind of finished, kind of highly polished paintings, but that changed, and it's much more about the mood, the moment, like a meditation on space and time. Now, because a lot of my images are from photographs, it's really important that you apprehend that photograph, that you change the way the photograph is. Otherwise, there's no point. You might as well just take a photo. So I think the really, really important thing is having that mood, having that expression in that piece of art. So a brush stroke that's a kind of meditation on time is more important than complete accuracy all the time. So let's begin. So we're going to start with looking at sketchbook work. I'm going to just introduce those materials in a little bit more detail, and we'll just start doing some techniques with those. So here we are. So we've got our materials. So this is what every material does. So the brush pen is fantastic. So it does very, very, very light, gentle, kind of sketchy marks. Slightly thicker ones, or very kind of expressive marks like that. Copic markers, you're supposed to use a Copic paper because they bleed through the paper very, very easily. And you're supposed to use a Copic backer, which is basically a kind of transparent piece of plastic. I just get a piece of old shiny magazine, cut it to roughly the same size, and put it underneath where I'm working, and that blocks it. It does take away some of the some of the longevity of the Copic marker, but I don't like working on Copic paper, especially since I'm using mixed media. So Copic markers themselves, they go really, really nicely with ink, and you can blend them in lots of different ways. Obviously there are two different nib types, or that one's slightly running out. I generally use the longer nib when I'm working. Now, there's also there are these Unipin fine liners, which are very, very good, and they come as this one's got a slight brush pen characteristic to it. Okay, but not as versatile as the other brush pen. Then we have normal Unipin fine liner, and then a Copic fine liner. Now the Copic fine liner just works with the Copic pens, and I generally find that they're some of the best fine liners you can buy. They're just really, really, really detailed and do what you want them to do. And lastly, graphite stick and pencil. So working with graphite stick just allows you to get really, really soft tones, but also get a little bit of texture into the surface of your sketchbook. And then of course the good old pencil. I generally use kind of 2B, 4B, but they all work well together. Okay, so let's use some of these to create a drawing. Now, this isn't going to be a kind of full drawing, it's just going to be a bit of a sketch just to show how we use these materials. So I'm just going to put that little piece of magazine on the next page. You can see where it's bled through from where I was doing my drawing samples. Now, the first thing I often go with is Chinese ink, just because it's expressive. And it really kind of allows you to just focus on what's important and take away a lot of those additional areas. So sometimes I can't talk when I'm working, it's too tricky. So what we need to do to start off with is get the kind of feel of the landscape and take out sections of the landscape that are there and sections of the landscape that aren't there. Now the landscape that I'm working from is a photograph I took in a place called Blackchurch Rock. Now, Blackchurch Rock is an incredible place near Westwood Hoe in Devon, and it is just it's stunning. It's really amazing when you go down there at low tide and see it. I've got a video on photographing Blackchurch Rock that I will link up now whilst I'm working. Okay, so what's really, really important about drawing and painting is you have periods where you're working with complete focus, and you have periods where you're working with speed, and then you have periods where you're slowing down the process and really thinking it through. Now, to be honest, the times I'm working most fast are the times I'm concentrating the most. And if the fast sections of the drawing don't work, it's quite often that the slower sections where you're kind of considering it a little bit more just is not going to come together. So this is what you do. So I'm generally just kind of slowing down, looking at the whole scene, taking my time and thinking about, you know, what material to use next and just going with it. So this is a point where you look at a drawing and you think, well, what's it given me more than the photograph that I was working from? It's also really important not to look at that photograph. The drawing, whether it's a sketchbook piece or whether it's a large painting, it has to have a life of its own. So you have to look at it and think, okay, there are elements to it that are going beyond the photograph in texture and surface and tone, and then there are elements that are maybe sticking too close to the original photograph. Now, lots of people are worried about showing photographs and saying that, you know, there's a problem between, you know, kind of showing the actual photograph and the magic of the art. I think it's important to realise that art isn't magic. It's about using your intuition. That's not magic, and it's about really focusing on a particular moment in time. So I'm going to show you the photograph in relation to this drawing. So let's carry on and just have a quick look at some details and see what we can bring out in this drawing. So there we have it. I think that one's finished for now. So there we are. So that brings us to the end of this first video. So really important to figure out how to apprehend that photograph, what it is that you're going to take from that photograph. It cannot just be a mere a kind of simple representation of the photo. It needs to go beyond that. That's what I feel, and that way we gain something from the experience of doing the art. So I mean, you know, in terms of scale, the sketchbook's not very big, but it can be a real joy and a real place for exploration. We all lead very busy lives, and doing large-scale work, working in the studio, is quite often just not achievable, whereas a sketchbook you can take with you wherever you can. So if you like what you see, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.